Hello and welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is Bryan Steele and I will be your nerd today, or any other day that you choose to watch one of my shows. Hi. So, it's been a good week. A little crazy, a little hectic. Weirdness abounds. But let's run through the week in Bryan real quick, and then we will get into the video. First off, I have to go ahead and drop the caveat today that it is probably going to be another short video today, only because I really am behind the eight ball on getting this Shadowrun novel done. It is coming along beautifully. I am super happy where where the story is going. I mean, you always quick peek behind the curtain. I always do like a big drawn out, outline of where the story is going to go and what's roughly going to happen. And a lot of it, some little points here and there change. It is what it is. As the story progresses, when something pops in my head, it's like, oh, that's way cooler than the other version. That stuff happens. But I will say that there are always sections that, maybe I've been saving for a long time. I've in past videos I've mentioned about how inspiration strikes in weird moments, and sometimes you'd be like, oh, that is a scene that I absolutely have to have in a story or an adventure or in a book or whatever, and I'll write it down and it it'll come back later. Well, there are a couple of scenes in this Shadowrun novel that I'm working on right now that I have been dying to put into a hard copy, into publication for someone, and knowing that those scenes are coming, knowing that I'm going to get to spend a couple of hours putting that collective scene together, has really kind of invigorated me for trying to get this or to put words down on the page for this book. I'm excited. I'm really happy where it's going. It is it's interesting to I don't want to give anything away. It's interesting to step out of the norm within a genre. Basically, like for instance, if you were, I'm not to give away anything, I'm not. I remember back in the day, there's a Dungeons and Dragons adventure. I can't remember what it's called, or not a Dungeons and Dragons adventure, a Conan role playing game adventure based off of one of the short stories. That by the end of the adventure, you fight against like gray aliens who have like these crystal sticks that are basically ray guns, and there's this elephant looking super alien at the top of this weird tower. And I remember how cool it was being in a complete fantasy setting, like straight up Conan's Hyperborea, but then fighting against an alien, who has a ray gun, who's is there any distinction between that and like a troll with a wand of fireballs? No, of course not. But it's just a neat thing to take the characters that are the status quo for that and throw them into something weird. And this novel has definitely got a section in it that is, it takes the characters, the characters out of their norm and throws them in the weird. I've been really excited about that whole section for a long time. And I'm almost to that point in writing the manuscript. So super excited there. Also, that pretty much covers the week in Bryan as far as writing or as far as work goes. I verified that I am going to Gen Con. I am also I'm running events at Gamehole Con in October. So both of those, more information about those in the future. But if you get a chance to make it out to those shows, if you are all vaccinated up and whatnot, you can find me, or you can put a message on one of these videos and be like, hey, I'm going to be at Gen Con. can we meet up for a handshake and a selfie? I would be happy to. So let me know. Obviously, we still have some months to go for that. Game wise, I did a lot of gaming this week. Played a little Sea of Thieves last night. That's always fun. I'm really, really, really enjoying the Pirates of the Caribbean expansion that they've got on there. It's neat to be part of that story without being part of that story. If that makes any sense, like being movie adjacent to what you're doing. So that's pretty cool. Played in our we played for it wasn't a very big session. It was kind of a short session in our Waking Realms game, which is where I'm the cat monk who's fighting to save the queen and everything. But we did, collectively as a group, we did kind of deal we dealt one of the stereotypical player blows to the DM, insofar that it was pretty obvious that he wanted us to go do something. He had set up this woman shows up, she's got all this magic, she's very powerful. She's suitably shady for being as powerful as she is, and offered us to come do this thing. And we stood our ground and was like, nope, we're doing the right thing right now by protecting the queen and fighting this war, or fighting this battle. You're obviously super powerful. Go deal with your own shit. So I'm not sure if the DM was too happy about that. If he was terribly frustrated with us, but it was a good session, a lot of good roleplay, a lot of good explaining our characters' reasons for doing what they do. So the other stuff that I've been playing, last week I did the review on the Tactical Tech. I did not get a chance to actually play a game, but I did explain it to my son. And we were going to, we just ran out of time that day doing other stuff. And it was, I think he was getting it. I think he was understanding so simple system. I think that it's going to be a lot of fun. We haven't had a chance to actually play yet. I'll let you know when we do. Tomorrow, instead of playing the Waking Realms game, I'm excited because I get to reprise my role as Sal Sobersbane, a drunken fist fighter, halfling monk, who is so silly and believes in all of his silly... I'm sorry I keep itching and you're watching me itch my eyeballs. I hope you guys don't have eye triggers or anything, but apparently my house is very dry this morning. But he is very big into folklore and superstition. When we found out that we were fighting against were-rats, and lots of them, like a whole cult of were-rats, he started eating a silver piece a day to stave off lycanthropy. He sewed silver coins into the knuckles of his gloves, so when he punches, when he gets into his punching fits on the were-rats, it still does damage, and the DM let me do it. So we're having a lot of fun, but more importantly, it's the first time we've played since COVID. So it's been a long time since we've gotten together, even digitally. We never even tried that game digitally. So it's been a hot minute since we played. I am excited. Because I haven't seen those guys in a long time, haven't been that character in a long time. This is stuff that I enjoy. Other thing came out this week is the Forgotten Realms Magic the Gathering set. So little known fact, I played Magic way back when, in the alpha beta years, when I was in junior high and high school. Which, of course, just like everybody else who played at that time, we are killing ourselves for throwing away or giving away or selling our cards for a pittance compared to what we could be, every once in a while I'll see an ad show up in one of the Facebook groups. It's like, Beta Black Lotus sells for $5,000, and I'll be like, that sucks because I had like 3 of them. It is what it is. But I've always been a fan of Magic. Never competitive. I've never been like, let's go play every Friday night, or let's go, hit the tournaments. I might do the occasional like booster draft or something like that where everybody's on the same ground. I played a lot online, but in the past year or so, I've taught my son how to play. And so occasionally we sit down at the table and we play some Magic together. And when they started previewing what the Forgotten Realms cards were, I started getting really excited. I started being like, okay, this is a cool idea. Let's do this. And so I picked up some boosters, picked up the pre-release pack and a bundle, and it does not disappoint. It's really cool. I have to give WotC their due. Their designers are really they're really smart up top as for what they're doing. I love the new dungeon mechanic. I think it's super cool idea to have like the game within a game. And one of the things that it definitely does is that it makes me eager. I know that they announced that they were doing a Warhammer 40,000 Magic the Gathering expansion. I have no idea how they're going to do that or how it's going to work well with others, but it does make me very eager to see if it's going to have a similar gimmick of its own, kind of like how the D&D one has the dungeons. Is the 40K one going to have space battles? Is it going to have, oaths of the moment? Who knows? I'll be interested to see what they do and how they put it together. Tyranids going to be black. Is Chaos going to be black? Or orcs and the Orc Wa, is that going to be red? I'm just excited. I don't know. I'm very interested to see where that goes. But in the here and now, that expansion, the Forgotten Realms expansion, is really cool. I love the mechanics that they put together. I love the ideas. And every once in a while, a card will cross. Like, a lot of it just makes sense. Like, oh, this is an ogre, it hits things. Oh, this is a frost giant, this hits things. But they added things like rolling a d20 for certain effects on particular characters or particular cards, or leveling up of certain cards. If this, like, you put out like the fighter class card as an enchantment, and it has 3 stages. It does something when you put it out, and then when you pay to level them up, it does this, and when you pay to level them up, it does this. It's just a really cool mechanic, and I really think that it's possible that the design team, the WotC design team, is using these IP heavy expansions to test how cool and how fair their these new special rules and stuff are. So there's that. I mentioned last week that I played in a 40K tournament for the first time in several years. I did okay. Out of 8, I got like 4th or 5th place. So middle of the pack. I lost one in my first round. I lost to my buddy's AdMech army, which I am glad. By the time this video comes out, the rules adjustments will already be out. They've announced that they are doing a pretty significant depowering of the AdMech codex, and having now played it straight away, it needs it. It's tough. It is real, and not tough in the way that it's like, where after the game I immediately look at my friend and be like, oh, that's so broken, it's the worst. But tough in the way that it's not doing anything that any other army can't do. It's just doing them all at once and with like one unit at a time. So whereas every other army has to spread out those bonuses and give one to here and give one to there, and these guys can do this. AdMech go, nah, this one squad is going to do all of that, and it is very, very frightening. So I lost my first game, and then my second game was against a guy who I haven't played in many, many years, from Indianapolis. But I got to play his Salamanders, which I learned a little bit about some of my own powers. I ended up winning that game by one freaking point. 1 point, which in ninth edition 40k is a trifle. Most things that score in the game score in increments of 2. So giving you an idea that winning by 1 point was like literally skin on my teeth. But I did learn a very valuable lesson. So in 40k, when you play 9th edition 40k, when you play a match, you pick your secondary objectives. You pick what your guys are going to do in addition to the main adventure or the main goal of the mission. Well, there is one secondary mission. I can't remember what it's called, but it basically just has you keep tabs of casualties that you inflict upon your opponent, and each casualty that you kill is racks up a little point ticker in the counter, and if they've got 10 or more wounds, it counts as 10 tickers. So that was really cool, except for the fact that I completely forgot that Space Marines now have 2 wounds apiece. Terminators have 3. So I was murdering them. I was killing them left and right, but I had done like 2, maybe 3 units. It wasn't even remotely enough. And then when it got to the end of the game, counting it up, I realized that you don't count wounds unless they are 10 or more. So all of those, I killed a bunch of Terminators, killed a bunch of Marines. So I probably had 30 or 40 wounds worth of dead guys, but it only gave me like kill tally of like 20, and that's enough for 2 victory points. It's really, really shrimpy. So I will learn from now on that against Space Marines, that is a stupid choice to make. And then my third game was against my buddy Dan in his Death Guard, including the scary demon patriarch Mortarion. It was a really fun game. I felt some early losses, but overall, the highlight of the match was Mortarion and my Transcendent Catan going blow to blow, just back and forth for like 3 rounds of 2 combats each round. It was really cool. Eventually, he did kill me and I blew up, but considering the points difference, the detachment difference, and the fact that Mortarion is supposedly the single most powerful model for the Death Guard, I'll take it. So yeah, middle of the road. I went 1 and 2. I wish that the AdMech nerf would have happened before the tournament. Maybe I would have had a chance to get another win, but overall, that's not why I go to these tournaments. I don't go to tournaments generally to win the big prizes. I go to play and have a good time, and that was definitely accomplished. This upcoming weekend, besides the game tomorrow, I don't have really much going on. A lot of work. Just, trying to get this Shadowrun book out the door, hang out with my kids, maybe play some video games, play some Magic, that sort of thing. All right, now that the week in Bryan is done, I'm going to point out there is one thing that I did do in the week of Bryan that I didn't mention because it wasn't work related and it wasn't game related. It was family related, art related. My family, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my nephew-in-law, my stepkid, my kid, and my wife and I all went down to the Indianapolis Museum of Art. Not just to wander around and look at paintings, but there was an actual special exhibit. I want to say it's called like Zoom or Zune, the Van Gogh in Motion or something like that. But it was basically an hour special, an hour special event in this very cool set of different rooms and chambers that twist and turn that went through Vincent Van Gogh's artistic career, starting all the way from his like bleak black and white. He wrote a lot of letters in and around the art that he was making up in the Netherlands. Then it moves down through Paris, and it basically goes through all the different eras of his art. Giving you a bunch of really cool quotes and things, but also showing you how his art changed. It went from this very plain pencil and pen style in the Netherlands that definitely was like, don't look at my face, don't look at my face. To in Paris, he did tons of just like flowers and fruit, very bright, very vibrant, very that time period in France. He was not breaking the mold. He was just really doing what was being done then, and a lot of it was very prolific. And then his time moves on into the where he starts getting into some of his art looks like maybe he's asking for help. Like it's definitely a little darker. And then he ended up in an asylum by his own volition. And while in the asylum, he created some amazing things. A lot of very interesting facial feature, like portraits of people. And then when he got out, his art shifted back to like bright and happy, almost like a very full circle of hey, this is what art is to me. And the exhibit itself was cool. It's like just all these pictures, and they digitized some of the pictures so like pieces of it would move. It was very, very cool, and it was on the floors and the ceilings and the walls. And you everywhere you looked, there was Van Gogh art being shown to you. And it was really inspiring. It just really, really was. He has they put up several of his quotes. Vince Van Gogh is actually, if you go to Google and Google Van Gogh quotes, there are several pages just dedicated specifically to his writings. And some of the things that he said is extremely profound, and very telling for the person that he is and would become. But it was very neat. And I really did like kind of cling on to one particular quote, which I'm going to botch it up because I didn't write it down. But it basically said that through all the suffering, through all of the suffering of his life, there is really only one thing that he still must do, and that is to create. And I read there, and I sat there staring out of the wall, and I absolutely understand. As a creative, as someone who just completely is sucked into the idea of leaving an artistic legacy. Yeah, mine's in the game industry, but it's still... I know my stuff will live on beyond me. It's super interesting, and I loved it. I know the museum said they're going to have other artists they're going to do other artists in the same idea, the same kind of format. But Van Gogh has always been one of my favorites, and I absolutely I fell in love with the concept of this guy painted to get out of his head. He painted to avoid pain, to put the pain onto the canvas, to put the glee on the canvas. And I get it. I absolutely get it. The only sad part about Van Gogh is while he was doing all these things, he was sick, he was penniless, He was borderline, I don't say insane, but he definitely did some pretty nutty things, and ended up getting, checking himself into a sanitarium. But I don't know, how can I put it? It touched me in a way that I didn't know. I've always liked art. Obviously, I'm a creative. But it touched me in a way that spoke to me as a creative. And I saw what he had done and how he had done it and why he had done it. And I really do think that there is something to be said for the power of creating something itself. I'm a guy. I'll never be pregnant. I'll never know the direct connection between a mother and an unborn child or anything like that, and then literally creating life within you. I won't know that, but I do know what it feels like to put hundreds of hours in on a manuscript and have a publisher pick it up, and then later on have someone, totally anonymous to you, reach out to you and say, your book is amazing, it changed how I viewed things, or your book is fantastic, I want to be a writer now. Like, that's what really hit me on that same night, is that I love being a creative, and I have to thank the world that I'm able to do it. Which brings us to today's topic. Today is just a thank you. I'm not gonna stay long, because I do want to point out. You may have noticed in the last week I complained about being too short because of the chair I was in. One of you guys out there, I don't know who you are because you didn't put a gift receipt or anything in it. One of you viewers, hopped on my Amazon wish list. You grab the link that's in the description of the video, and you bought me this chair. This is a really nice, technically it's a video game chair, but it's a really nice chair. It's very comfortable. It's adjustable. Came with this cool vibrating lumbar pillow. I had put it on my wish list as more of a reminder for myself. Hey, next time you have a decent amount of money lying around, you need a new chair. But one of you guys or gals out there, you did it for me. You hopped on and this isn't the first time that cool stuff has happened, or this is not the first time that my Amazon wish list has been accessed to send something to me. The last time it was a bottle of resin. This time it was a freaking chair. So I just really wanted to reach out and say thank you, whoever you are. I do this little podcasty, vloggy, whatever. I do this because I want to get the voices out of my head, but also I want to make sure that the gaming community out there knows that we're not all insane. We're not all secret hotel room Blizzard employees. Like we some of us are just people, and we just really enjoy making games. We really enjoy. I love when a fan reaches out and says, "Hey, I've read this book. I didn't know it was you," or something along those lines, and then it's followed up with, "I love it," or "We use it all the time," or whatever. So that's really what I have to thank you guys for. Is I know some of you, I'm sure, are like, Amazon wishlist, whatever, quit begging. But there's a bunch out there that you look at that and go, this guy makes things for us to fill our time, but it's taking all of his to do so. Let's help out. Let's, give him something fancy, or even something tiny. Just a thank you that says, hey, thanks for videoing and keeping us in the loop. But every time something like this happens, a big, I get a bag of, I understand a bottle of resin or a card or whatever, hell, send something. Send a letter to my P.O. box. I'll read it online. Um, but something like this is the kind of thing, that as a freelancer and as the only real source of income in the house, I can't frivolously just go fishing. I can't just decide one day, sometimes, in the thick of things, I can't just go, I'm going to go to a movie. It's got to be planned out. It's got to be a big deal. It's got to be part of the schedule, because I've got so much stuff that I've got to work around. And when someone shows me a modicum of pleasantness, or gratefulness for what I put out there, or anything like that, it always blows my socks off. I always go, holy crap, I can't believe this is a thing that's happening. But it also reminds me that I'm not doing this in vain. I'm not talking to a camera in a vacuum. There are people who watch this. There are people who wait for Friday for me to download or upload or whatever. There's just a lot. There's just a lot. And I have to thank you for all of it. So, without further ado, thank you, whoever this was. And if you want to come forward in the comments, I guarantee I will shower you with praise, because this is such a big deal. That other chair was killing my back. It was making me short. I was falling asleep at the keyboard because I'm all tiny and scrunched up. So thank you, whoever you are. And now we look forward to next week, where I should be able to discuss at least a little bit about some of the projects that I'm working on. I might have some release dates for some products, or I might not have any. I don't know. Still waiting on that. But I have to say, it's been a great week. I hope it's going to be another great week, and I hope for you, someone out there, whoever, whether it's a family member or a stranger, or maybe just the guy ahead of you in the drive-thru at the Dunkin' Donuts, I hope somebody does something really nice for you this week, and I hope that you can think of this exact moment and go and look at them and say thank you from the bottom of my heart for just helping make this life a little easier, one little piece at a time. So, without further ado, please stay safe, get vaccinated, wear your mask if someone requires it, do not go out of your way to cause others harm, and find the best way to put a smile on your face, and that is, of course, to go out there, enjoy yourself, play some games. We'll see you next week.